So if you're coming from my unboxing and first impression video of the LiteRadio 3, welcome back to the channel and thank you. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll leave them linked down below and above so you can take a look at that. And you don't want to miss that video because this radio has a lot of features and accessories that come with the radio. And some things to think about before you make that purchase decision, like why did I go with the FrSky version opposed to the Express LRS version. So I have all my equipment here for this setup right here. Obviously I have my LiteRadio 3 right here. This thing is pretty amazing still. We also have our Express LRS module, and that's gonna be the most interesting thing about this whole video and how to set this up. And then I have two drones here. I have an Express LRS drone right here, and I have a traditional FrSky drone here. So we are gonna bind both of them and see if this controller works with both drones so that you're covered with most of the drones on the market. So let's get started here. The first thing here you want to see is what mode is this thing in. Obviously I have the FrSky version, and this has a multi-protocol module in here, so it can do D8 or D16 or the Futaba protocol on here as well. So you can tell by looking at the colors here how many times this LED light on the power button has blinked. If it blinks once, it's in D16 FCC. If it blinks twice, it's in D16 LBT. If it blinks 3 times, then you're in D8 mode. If it blinks 4 times, then you're in the Futaba, which is SFHSS. So those are the 4 protocols that's built into this radio. So let's take a look at this one here. Press it down, and let's see if you can see the light here. 1, 2, 3. So 3 flashes. Let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3. So 3 flashes mean, what did I say? So that's D8, which makes sense. It ships with D8 on here, which is good for like all these SPI built-in drones, which is what I have right here. Okay, so now that we know how to identify the current protocol, let's talk about how to switch the protocols, because you might not have a D8 drone, you might have a D16 drone, or you might have a drone with a Futaba receiver built into it, maybe an Express LRS receiver as well. So the easiest and most versatile way is to use the BETAFPV configurator. So the Beta configurator is a pretty cool tool where you can actually configure and make multiple changes on this radio, whether to use the internal or the external module, or whether to use D8, D16 protocol. So it's really quick, it's really simple, and I highly recommend you do it that way. And we are gonna go to the computer and show you how to use that. But for right now, we are gonna show you how to switch it manually. And this would be my preferred way to change the protocols, because once you go on the computer and take a look at the BETAFPV configurator, you'll see that it's really almost not worth it at this point to use it. This way is very, very simple and quick. So the way to change the protocols is to use this bind button right here. And all you have to do is just press this bind button and then press the power button to change the actual protocols. So right now we said we have 3 flashes. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. So 3 flashes, we said that's D8. So the next one should be 4 flashes, and let's see if that works. So to change the protocol, you hit the bind button before you press the power button. So you hit bind, hit the power button. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release. Now we are in the Futaba protocol. I don't have a Futaba drone, so we're not gonna leave it in that protocol. We can change it one more time. So 3 flashes this time. Why did I go to 3 flashes, and why did I go to purple 3 flashes? Well, that's because this also has an external module bay right here. Once you go to this mode, then this powers up the external bay, which is good for Crossfire or Express LRS, which we'll be testing out here pretty soon. So let's get back to the other modes. Press and hold. 3 flashes. So we're now back to D8, which is what we have here in this drone. The radar is powered, it's in the D8 mode. And the binding process is just like any typical drone, but this can vary from drone to drone. On my drone, I have a bind button. So let's see if I can find it. And this is gonna vary from drone to drone. This is the Mobula 6. All right, it's in the bind mode here. And let's hit the bind button. And it looks like we have a connection. So let's see these buttons here. Doesn't do anything. That's a good sign. That means the beeper works. That means it is linked to this drone. So let's see if I can arm this drone. That's amazing. I can fly this thing in here right now. So there you go. D8 protocol, hit the bind button, and there you go. Pretty straightforward. That was my first time doing that, and it works, guys. All right, let's move on to the more exciting part. All right, guys, so if you chose the Express LRS version of this radio, so the built-in Express LRS module, then you are better off going on the computer and using the BETAFPV configurator to get this whole thing set up. Things such as packet rates, telemetry, power output, and just your binding phrase can be set on the configurator. Because I have the FrSky version, it really doesn't make any sense doing that on the configurator as of now. All right, so the internal module in this radio here works pretty well. Let's see how well the external bay works here. And we do have an Express LRS drone right here, so that should be interesting. So we're just gonna move the cover here for the bay. We have our Express LRS module, and that's it. So all these things that I'm using here today, I've done full reviews on them, so I'll leave those linked down below in this video as well. Now, if I power this radio on here, nothing happens. Even though I put the module in here, it doesn't get power because we're still on the D8 protocol. So we have to change it to the external bay. The same way, hit the bind button and press the power. So 4 flashes. And now we have 3 purple flashes. So now the external bay should be powered. So this is one of the reasons why I say the BETAFPV configurator isn't really necessary if you have a FrSky version, is because most likely if you have this module before, this module is already configured before you got this radio. And what I mean by that is this module here cannot be configured with the BETAFPV configurator. This module here will be configured with the Express LRS configurator. Technically, all the information about this module should be stored in here. That's it. There's nothing else to do. Everything from my packet rate to my binding phrase to my power output is already saved on this. So let's just put it back in here. And technically, once I power this one more time, my module should be powered. And sure enough, hopefully you can see that there's a blue light on there. But technically, because everything here is stored in this module, I technically don't have to bind it to my other drones. So let's see if this works, if that's true. There we go. Okay, so my drone is now powered, and I heard a beep from the radio, so that means it's talking somehow. So let's see if we can arm this. That is amazing, guys. There's the beeper. Guys, this thing is straight from the box. All I did was just change the protocol, put the module in the back, powered it up, and it paired immediately to my drone. That's the power of Express LRS, guys. So let's try it one more time. That works. That's amazing. Let's power this down. That was too easy, guys. All right, let's go to the computer, jump on the BETAFPV configurator so we can see some of the options and things we can change on this radio as well as the module. So let's go to the desk. Okay, so we're here at the computer. We have our LiteRadio 3, we have our drone, a battery. Got our fan here just to keep this drone cool when we do power it up, or if we have to power it up. But anyways, let's take a look at it. First thing you want to do is download the BETAFPV configurator. And I'll leave a link where you can find that. Here it is right here. So let's just plug this into the computer, USB-C plug. Now, one thing to know here, guys, is that this radio has to be off in order for this thing to connect and interface with the configurator. It has to be off. So don't make that mistake. I've gotten some comments in the past of people not being able to connect this radio to the configurator. Here you go. It lights up. It's charging the actual radio. Now sometimes if you come here to the corner and hit connect, it still may not connect. You may have to click this right here to activate configurator for FC board. And then once you do click that, then it will work once you go to the connect RC. And it's connecting. And as you can see, you have everything here already set up. So the last thing that we used was the external module. And as you can see, it's already selected and it's powered on. So it remembered the last mode here. So this is a mode 2 radio, which means the throttle is on the left side and then the trainer port is off. So we're not doing any training as of right now. This is the most crucial part right here, I guess, for the internal module. So you can turn the internal module on or off. So the only way you can do that is by turning this one off. You cannot have both on at the same time. So let's try it here. If we turn this one on, it won't let you. So I need to disable the external RF, turn that off, and then I can select the internal RF. And it says D16 here, which I don't want. I want the D8, which is down here, which is already bound or bind to my other radio or my other drone. As far as this is concerned, the internal module for the CC2500, it's fixed at 100 milliwatts power output, which is decent. So the same thing here, you can't turn the external RF module on unless I turn the internal off. So let's go here, turn that off, turn this on, and the only protocol you have is Crossfire, which is the interface between the radio and the module in the back. I can click this on or off, and that will turn off the module here. Now talking about that, you come to the module right here, and you have different options on here. And this is very similar to the Radio 2 SE, where you can change the power output packet rate and whether or not you have telemetry or not. But in this case, I do have an external module, so some things are different. The first thing here is the power output. If you have the Express LRS internally into your radio, then you can change it up to 100 milliwatts, up to 100. But because I have an external module, then you have the full capability of said module. So 250, I had it initially at 100, so we're gonna keep it at 100. And that's a huge advantage and a huge reason why I went with the FR Sky version, because I can have the Express LRS module in the back right here and have a greater power output for my Express LRS drones. You can obviously change the packet rate as well. We'll keep it at 500 for the best available. And in the LiteRadio 2 SE, this was off. So we'll keep it at whatever it was, 1/64. And I think that's the telemetry, but there's no telemetry here, but we'll keep it on just in case this sends telemetry back to the drone, and then I can see it in my goggles. So we'll leave that on for now. These two features, they don't work, binding receiver or enter Wi-Fi update, which is kind of weird as well, only because the Wi-Fi module in here doesn't work anyways. And that's one issue with this module. And I think BETAFPV is going to, rectify that in the future. Now, one thing here that's really, really different, if you have the built-in internal Express LRS module, you will have the ability to create a binding phrase. But because this is the external module, this has to be configured in the Express LRS configurator. That's the only way you can change that. Now we scroll down here and this shows you all your inputs. And this is a really good thing to look at here. I probably should have done it with this one here. But you can see there's no jitters on the input of the sticks and they're all centered at 0. I did not calibrate these sticks. So as you can see, they've done some work here to make this thing precise as possible. So when they say they have increased the precision and accuracy of these gimbals, here's a good indicator right here. We don't know how long they're gonna last, but it is accurate and precise for right now. Pretty good, good start. All right, so let's just disconnect this bad boy here. All right, so that's done. I think we're good, guys. This radar has shown me that it can bind to a FR Sky drone and it can easily bind to an Express LRS drone. So we know the range of a typical FR Sky radio, no big deal there. So we're gonna go outside, fly this drone here and compare the range of this module, this whole setup here, see how it flies and see how it compares to this radar right here. This is also an Express LRS radio. and it has the built-in Express LRS module in here, and see if we have any range deficiencies or difference in signal. So we're gonna go fly this right now and see how it goes, guys. All right, guys, we're outside here. It's a really nice morning. A little bit windy, between 10 and 15 miles an hour. You can see the trees back there shaking a little bit. So we have our drone here. We have our 2 radios. And how we're gonna do this today, we're gonna start with the LiteRadio 2 SE. So although it's windy today, this is not gonna be a acro flight. This is just gonna be a simple just range test and see how the signal is as we go to some difficult areas. And just compare the reception from this radio to the LiteRadio 3. So let's power this up, start recording. All right. Ooh, I feel like I had some micro fail-safes there. So we're back from the test flight, and the LiteRadio 3 performed very, very well. Really good, guys. So we started off with the LiteRadio 2 SE only because I've already flown this radar before and I know how it performs. And I just wanted to get a baseline of how this one did perform. We do have these both on the same settings, 100 milliwatts and 500 hertz packet rate. So the sensitivity of these sticks were really, really responsive. Really, really good, very touchy, and as soon as I moved the sticks, the drone would move immediately. So very good for both of them as far as response. Now I did go further out. My initial test was to go behind the playground, but that area does give some issues with the VTX as well as with the RX signal. So we went over there, flew really, really low, and the LiteRadio 2 did a good job. While flying down there though, I did encounter some micro fail-safes, and that's the first time I've experienced that with this radar here. But a couple times I would fly and then the drone would just lose control and then regain again. It would just twitch. After a couple times I was like, okay, let's get out of here. Now at that point I had a dB of around 95 to around 99. Just for a split second I saw minus 100. So the dB was really, really low at that point, which makes sense why it would have some micro fail safes in that area. Then after that, I went on a long distance run here, pretty far away, just to see how far the range would be. And it worked surprisingly well. No fail safes, no issues. At that area, I got somewhere between 77 to 83 or minus 83 dB in that area. So this radio, although it's the older version, it's the LiteRadio 2 SE, it performed exceptionally well, like really well. Now this does have a directional antenna right here, and typically when I fly, you're pointing outwards. So that could be a factor, but it did a good job. Now flying the LiteRadio 3 was pretty impressive as well. As soon as you pick it up, it feels like it fits in your hand a little bit better. Ergonomically, it feels really good. Now the joysticks on this here is smoother, a lot smoother than the LiteRadio 2 SE, but there's a little bit more force required, especially when you get to the end points or the end travel of the sticks. No big deal there. So we armed the drone, took off, and it worked pretty well. You have these arm switches right here, and the drone flew just as great. So I went to the same area by the playground, went down, reduced my altitude, and sure enough, no micro fail safes. It worked pretty well. And we are using this omnidirectional antenna, so that needs to be stated for sure. And the dB was a little bit better, so not too bad, between 85 and 90 to 93 dBs. Now, just like the other radio, I did go for a little bit further range test, and that area, I guess, is a little bit challenging. So I flew it, and as I got to around that tree, I could see my signal going down increasingly very fast. So as I approach the tree, it's around minus 85, minus 89, then 90, then it keeps going higher and higher. I think it went to around minus 95 and then 98. Now this radar here is pretty cool. I don't know if that feature is also in this radar. Maybe it is, actually. I never got to that point. But once I got to the point where the signal got really, really low, around minus 98 to minus 99, then it started to flash on the OSD on the screen. And then I also got a beep on the radio. Now, I didn't experience any fail safes. I had total control of the radio, so all my inputs were being felt. It's, I guess, a pretty cool safety feature to warn you that, hey, you have some low RSSI or low signal. As soon as I felt that and I heard the beep, I immediately turned the drone, as you saw, and came back to me. But I wasn't content with that. I wanted to try it again. Maybe there was some Wi-Fi. These are some new homes. People are moving in there. So maybe there's some more interference in that area. I do believe that. But I did fly to the same area again. And as soon as I approached the tree, crossed the tree, then it did the same thing again. It started to flash on the screen. And I got a beep again on the radio. So it is warning me. There could be a couple things there. The first thing is that I'm using an omnidirectional antenna, as I said before. But everything else is consistent with the LiteRadio 2 SE. This one does have a more directional antenna, so it is pointing towards that area. As far as 100 milliwatt is concerned, these two radios worked really well. Now, at that distance, I'm somewhere around 5 or more football fields away, so clearly beyond 500 yards, really, really far. So I'm really surprised with the LiteRadio 2 SE for sure, although this is not a review on that. this LiteRadio 3 perform well. Okay, as I said before, I also brought my D8 drone as well. This is the Mobula 6. I just did a review on this. Pretty cool drone for indoors, but I did fly it outdoors since I did have the opportunity to fly it. And we did use the internal module on here, and we saw that it did bind to this drone indoors here during the setup, but I wanted to see how it flew outdoors. And guys, yes, I do have my regular or my daily radio here. This is my Jumper T-Lite, and I can go through the menu and switch between one drone and another drone. No big deal there. But this process of switching from one protocol to the next is super easy and very simple. It took me literally like 5 seconds. Put the tool in here, hit the bind button and power, and it switched to the D8 protocol. And I had no issues. The response was really, really great. No issues at all. And you can see that in the on-screen or the video here. So if you bring a lot of drones with you to the field, this radio here, the LiteRadio 3, can do it all. That's the good thing. If you're traveling, I would highly recommend one of these. And as you can see, even with this Express LRS module, it's pretty slim and the profile isn't that big, guys. Let me know what you think about this radio. I think it's pretty cool, really nice. All the switches here work. One thing I have to note though, guys, I forgot to say, one thing to note is that a couple times as I came in for a landing, trying to disarm my drone, I did use the SA switch, which is switch number 1, the auxiliary switch 1. A couple times when I came to disarm the drone, my finger had a tendency to increase the throttle. And I think that's something to do with just not being familiar with this radio, but it could also be because you're actually applying force to this switch right here, therefore making your hand go up. So if I'm pulling on this switch, it might have a tendency to increase the throttle because I'm actually using this as leverage to push this switch. That happened to me a few times, and I'm sure you'll get used to it in the future. Guys, it's been a long video. Thank you for sticking around this long, but guys, there's a lot of information here, and hopefully this information is useful to you. So if you like the video, hit that like button, and if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Therefore, you'll be notified whenever I do make another FPV video. So anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace!